This was a young male, somebody who could get into the house and get out in that neighborhood without being seen.
Someone who knew the victim or victims, knew the layout of the house, knew how to get entry into the house. There was no indication of forced entry. No.
I don't think it was two people, because the more people you have going into that house, the more likely that it is that they were going to be seen. So I think it's one male, young enough to have been in that neighborhood.
He had to be somewhat confident.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Davies.
Just when you think things cannot get any crazier. My name is Jessica Davies. I'm an investigative journalist, and my job is to analyze crimes, crime scenes, and suspects, and show you how to do the same thing. If you haven't subscribed, please do like, share, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a new video. Today, we're going to discuss who the mystery alibi witness. Who is this going to be? We're also going to review Bryan Kohberger's traffic stop. Now, this is the stop that he did before he got stopped with his father. This was back in Pullman, Washington, prior to the November 13th, 2022 crimes. We're going to hear his voice. We're going to watch his body language. And we're going to talk about the TikTok warrant and how this relates to BK. Now, BK is innocent until proven guilty, but because he's the only one who's indicted and sitting in jail, I'm going to be talking about this case in terms of him. Now, BK and his defense team want to bring forward a second alibi. Now, this is after Ann Taylor said his alibi was him driving around in his Hyundai Elantra. Now she wants to see the prosecution video to see whether or not they have images of BK behind the wheel in the Hyundai Elantra, the same Hyundai Elantra that Ann Taylor admits he was driving.
Hello, Officer. I am Officer Loangus. Stops being audio and video recorded. I think you know why I stopped you. You ran the red light.
What actually happened was I was stuck in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah,
so
I was behind you the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So technically you're not supposed to enter the intersection at all for that reason, because if the light turns red, then you're stuck in the intersection, and then you run the red light. So that's the reason I stopped you. Do you have your license on you?
Yep.
Thank you. Do you have the registration and insurance?
Yes. Let me just get this for you out.
You what?
I'm just going to get this out for you.
Okay.
So would you explain that to me a little bit further? So in Pennsylvania, when you're stuck like in their intersection, you have to make the left. So what would the appropriate thing for me to have done been? Just
You're not supposed to block an intersection like that in Washington, so just by you blocking the intersection, that's technically a ticketable violation.
So the police officer tells him he was stopped in the middle of the intersection. He was actually blocking a crosswalk, as you're going to find out in a few moments. He already cannot be wrong about this. So he's going to tell her what he was, quote, actually doing.
And then you're running a red light, so it's another ticketable offense. So you're not supposed to proceed into the intersection until you...
Would you describe these eyebrows as bushy?
Can go, because a lot of people do what you just did, right? Is like you're sitting in the intersection waiting, and then turns, and then you're blocking, so...
Yeah, there was a little bit of confusion with speeding because someone had stopped. I wasn't sure what they were doing, and then they put on their light to turn. Mm-hmm. So I thought that maybe they were letting me go through.
Oh.
Did you see that?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, like right before I made the turn, there was someone who made a right. They didn't have their signal on, so I wasn't sure if they were just waiting.
Mm-hmm.
All she wants is his license and registration so she can issue a ticket and go on her way. But he wants to have it explained to him. But he really isn't interested in having her explain it to him. He's really arguing the ticket. He pulled up into the middle of a crosswalk, blocking people's ability to cross the street. And now he's going to bring up Pennsylvania law in Pullman, Washington. again, just arguing because he cannot be wrong.
Yeah, so I would just advise just don't enter the intersection until you can go so you don't get stuck. Let's see.
But in that situation, the best thing to do then would be back up. And not...
I don't know if there's a best thing to do in that situation, because you're either going to back up into somebody or you're going to run a red light.
BK is acting like he's asking her questions, but what he's really doing is arguing with her. He does not think he has done anything wrong in pulling up into a crosswalk and blocking people's ability to walk across the street. We've heard from former classmates that said that he would do this to professors. He would argue the most minute points because he just simply had to be right. And again, this goes back to that superiority complex. And I'm going to share with you who the secret alibi witness is going to be. And also, we're going to talk about TikTok and how this will implicate BK in just a moment. So please stay with me.
So, or you're going to be sitting in an intersection. There's not really a great option there.
Yeah, I was just slightly into the crosswalk, so, where I'm from Pennsylvania, we actually don't have, like, crosswalks.
So now he's minimizing what he did. I was just slightly into the crosswalk, still arguing, and then he tells a whopper lie. He says where he's from in Pennsylvania, they don't have crosswalks. Of course, Pennsylvania has crosswalks.
Oh,
so even if you're kind of slightly... there's a little bit more leeway as well. Like, there are a few lines. Like, there's one white line and there's another one in front. Like, there's like a certain margin from which you can actually kind of put your vehicle, place your vehicle.
Yeah. So I know laws vary state to state, but there is a law in Washington for blocking an intersection like that, proceeding through when you don't, when you're just stalling. I forget the actual verbiage. I can find it for you, but it's like stalling, blocking an intersection.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the law. I don't mean to...
Oh, no, I can find it for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1 second.
So he's nodding along here, but really he's arguing. And I'm going to share with you who the secret alibi witness is going to be. And also, we're going to talk about TikTok and how this will implicate BK in just a moment. So please stay with me. For those of you who are interested in capital punishment cases in the state of Idaho, which is where the trial for Bryan Kohberger is going to take place, I'm also going to be airing, beginning Monday, April 1st, the Chad Daybell case. It also takes place in Idaho, and it's a capital punishment case. Join me at 11 a.m., and we're going to watch this trial together as a reporter room true crime community.
That looks good. On a Hyundai. I don't see Pennsylvania registration like at all. Okay, let's see. Expires November 22nd, or 2022. Okay. And...
yeah, one of those is actually...
yeah, okay, that looks good. I'll hand that back to you. I'm just going to go check your info. I'll try to find that RCW, the law for you, and I'll be right back.
Thank you.
All right.
What do you guys think?
Okay, so I found it. So I don't know what in Pennsylvania where you go to find laws, but in Washington it's called the Revised Code of Washington. So I'll try to turn my brightness up, but it's just called an RCW. So it's RCW 46.61.202. So it's no driver shall enter an intersection unless there is significant space on the other side of the intersection. To accommodate the vehicle he is operating without obstructing the passage of other vehicles, despite any traffic control signal indications to proceed. So you had a green light, so you're thinking you can go, but you're blocking the intersection. Yeah. So that's, if you're ever curious in any laws in Washington, just Revised Code of Washington. So I'm not writing a ticket or anything like that today. I understand you're from Pennsylvania, but in the future, don't proceed through the intersection.
So he manages to talk himself out of getting a ticket here. Let's listen in.
You can't get stopped for that alone unless you can clearly just clear it right away.
Okay.
So
then basically, I understand.
You're just supposed to wait behind the white line. Drivers do it all the time, but
it never even occurred to me that was actually something wrong. But well, except for the fact that I was blocking the crosswalk, which is what I went through.
And states vary from laws like Pennsylvania might not even have that law. but in Washington we do.
I'm actually just from a very rural area, so we just don't have crosswalks.
Oh.
Can this get any crazier? So he's asking the law enforcement officer to believe that in his 12 years as a driver, even though he's from a rural area in Pennsylvania, and the fact that he drove his Hyundai Elantra from Albrightsville, Pennsylvania to Washington, that he has never encountered a crosswalk. This guy cannot be wrong about anything.
Unless I visit an area where there are crosswalks, and then it's not very frequent.
Yeah.
I do apologize if I was asking you too many questions about the law. I wasn't trying to, like...
No, not at all. Like, I understand you're not from here, so... Yeah. If you don't... A lot of people don't know a bunch of laws. Like, I only know it because this is what I do, but, yeah. If you're ever curious on any more laws, just RCW, and they can be hard to read because it's in, like, legal language, but, hope that helps.
Definitely.
Yeah, have a good day.
Definitely, you too.
Thanks.
So let's talk about who the mystery alibi witness will be. Because we live in an era of high surveillance, BK should have been able to produce some type of image for his alibi. He should be able to have his car showing that he's in a location on camera, in a different location than the 1122 King Road house if he was out driving around in a location that's not near the crime scene. Surely his vehicle would show up on someone's business camera, doorbell cam, or traffic cam. So do I think we're going to have a alibi witness from Ann Taylor? Someone who's willing to risk jail time, willing to risk perjuring themselves if they do take the stand? Because even though we have sycophants who love to write love letters to these guys in jail, if someone does take the stand, the prosecutors are going to be producing videos that undercut their story. Now, BK is innocent until proven guilty, and he has not had his day in court yet. And the best case scenario is that the jury's going to be left with someone, with a witness who thinks they maybe saw him somewhere. But I don't think this is going to be the type of alibi witness that Ann Taylor is going to put on the stand. I am going to share with you who I think the secret alibi witness is, and I believe that it's going to be Bryan Kohberger. I believe he is going to take the stand, even though probably his defense team is going to tell him not to do this. So before you say no, his attorneys would never let him take the stand, let's revisit the Alex Murdaugh case. As I shared with you in prior live streams, I believe BK has a superiority complex. He views himself as the smartest person in the room. He cannot be wrong. So even if his entire defense team tries to tell him he should not take the stand, like I believe the Alex Murdaugh defense lawyers probably tried to tell him, Alex Murdaugh thought he could talk himself out of anything, and I believe that BK sees himself in a similar way. And remember, people who are psychopaths don't feel anxiety and fear the way that you or I do. They feel it, but it's much less significant. That's why I wanted to look at this traffic stop. I just thought it would be interesting to just see how he just could not be wrong on this, even though he had pulled his car onto a crosswalk. I believe that BK is going to take the stand. He's going to say where he was, and that is going to be his alibi, because I do believe that BK thinks he can talk himself out of any situation, and that in his own mind, he cannot be wrong. TikTok's algorithms are fueled by data, and my source on this is Wired. So TikTok has faced a lot of criticism lately. We know there are some states that it's being banned on public officials' cell phones because it does track so much and collect so much information. So what does TikTok know about you? Well, TikTok can gather information when you arrive on the site, even if you aren't signed up via cookies and other trackers. Once you create an account, TikTok can collect data about your activities and preferences based on the videos that you watch. It knows the device you are using, your location, your IP address, all your search history, the content of your messages, what you are viewing, and for how long. It also collects identifiers, device identifiers. Now, these track your interactions with advertisers. So TikTok quote, infers factors such as your age, range, your gender, your interest, based on the information that it collects on you. So how does TikTok track you? Well, on the one hand, they have a privacy policy when you sign up, but they ask for your email address, your phone number, your date of birth, and it collects the content you create, even if you don't end up uploading or saving it. And the associated metadata, when, where, who. If you sign in with Facebook, information can be shared with TikTok too. So TikTok says that it collects text, images, and video from your device's clipboard if you copy and paste content. While it's normal for a video app to request a camera and microphone access, the privacy permissions also allow TikTok to secure detailed information about your location using GPS. This will be one more way for prosecutors to place BK at the 1122 King Roadhouse, matching up TikTok with those 12 cell phone pings leading up to the November 13th, 2022 crime. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Please subscribe